Vergil Ortiz versus Serhii Bohachuk, 12 rounds in the 154-pound division. Let's get into it, man. Let's start with their respective records. Vergil Ortiz, 21 wins, no losses, 21 wins by way of knockout. Serhii Bohachuk, 24 wins, 1 loss, and 23 wins by way of knockouts. That's a lot of knockouts, man. I mean, when we're talking percentage-wise, Vergil Ortiz has a 100% knockout rate. Bohachuk isn't far behind with a 96% knockout rate. Those numbers are ridiculous. Like, those are wild. Clearly, both men can punch. Both men have power in their hands. Ortiz has, had a couple good wins on his resume against notable opponents and names that people are accustomed to knowing. We're talking about the former champ Maurice Hooker. We're talking about Akeemkhaynes Velasquez. We're talking Michael McKinson, and he stopped all of them. Bohachuk is coming off of his biggest win on his resume and biggest performance to this point when he fought Brian Mendoza, and he fought an excellent fight. In that fight, his only blemish came from when he fought a very talented boxer, Brandon Adams, right? In a fight where he was winning that fight. He was putting hands on Adams, and I think he got a little too overconfident, overcommitted a little bit too much, let his defense down, got a little bit irresponsible with covering up, and he got himself caught with the shot at the right spot at the right time. And it completely changed the whole trajectory of that fight. And he would go on to get stopped in that fight. It was a shame how it ended for Bohachuk because he was really doing well. And you can tell it caught him off guard, man, because he looked extremely surprised and shocked at what happened. I'm sure that he would like to get that get back and get that rematch to redeem himself, because I do think he's become a better boxer since that loss. But it just goes to show, man, in boxing, one moment things can be working in your favor, and the next, it could completely change. That's boxing for us, But on the other hand, like, Vergil Ortiz is no stranger to getting clipped either. There are times when he gets a little bit overconfident, and that's when he gets himself in trouble. Like, you remember when he fought Akeemkhaynes Velasquez, and he got caught from in close. He was trying to land that massive uppercut, overextended the shot, and Velasquez slipped it and caught him with the right hand. And you could see Ortiz was noticeably hurt. And when he tried to clinch up, he got tagged with another right hand that noticeably made things a lot worse. But what I like about Ortiz when that happened to him, man, is he did not panic. Like, you can tell this guy is thinking inside of the ring. He knew, if I'm hurt, I got to tie up and find a way how to buy some time before I got to get back into this fight. And he did a good job of recovering and ending out and finishing out the round. He would overcome that adversity and obviously go on to win the fight. A couple of knockdowns, and Velasquez just got so frustrated, so defeated. You could see it on his face. And Ortiz got the stoppage win. But that's the thing with Ortiz for me, man, is sometimes he can be so reactive, it becomes emotional at times. And that's when he puts himself in danger, and his defense becomes a little lax, and he's susceptible to getting hit, to getting clowned, to getting clipped with shots that if he was just a little bit more patient and defensively responsible, he would not get hit with those shots. But that's boxing sometimes, man. Ortiz is a fighter through and through. Yeah, he's got good technical skills, solid jab. He's a good, solid fighter. But sometimes, man, he can get in his own way and get himself in trouble. He can go into a mode where if you hit him with a nice hard shot, he's like, okay, I felt that. I got to get my get back. And he's going to try to immediately respond with a hard shot of his own, even if he takes the risk and he puts himself in danger. It can be dangerous. It happened against Velasquez, so sometimes when Ortiz gets hits, man, it's like he just sees red and starts to headhunt and sits down heavy on his shots. And it just makes him a little bit more defensively irresponsible. But at the same time, when he is seeing red, I mean, anytime he lets those hands go, man, it could be detrimental to his opponent's health. And I mean that, you know what I'm saying? Because this man's heavy-handed and he's a wicked body puncher, man. One thing about Ortiz, man, is he going to rip to the body and he going to try to take you out just like that. He's an excellent offensive combination puncher and definitely got power in both hands. But, Bohachuk, man, has power in both hands too. His way of breaking down opponents is a little bit different than Ortiz. He's more of a accumulation type of a knockout type of guy. Whereas Ortiz, he can take you out with one shot. But Bohachuk, nah, man, he gonna beat on you. He's going to be in front of you. He's not going to be hard to find in this fight. Both men are not really going to be hard to find. Now, Bohachuk's last performance, which I thought was his best performance, really showed me how good that he was. To be quite honest, I wasn't really too sold on Bohachuk, but his performance against Brian Mendoza, man, it showed that this man is amongst the tops in the division. Brian Mendoza is a solid fighter who's been in his fair share of tough fights, and he's battle tested. So we were going to see how Bohachuk was going to handle that fight. And when that fight happened, man, that was just 12 solid rounds of heavy punches, constant pressure, close range shots, close range work. And it was just a great fight, man. 12 rounds of a grueling war type of fight. I was really impressed with Bohachuk's work rate in that fight, man. From the moment the fight started, when he closed the gap, he was punching consistently, constantly, and did not give Brian Mendoza much room to breathe. Every shot that Brian Mendoza had was because he's a very good counter puncher, but he had to work to get those off. Because for the one shot he would respond with, Bohachuk would have 3 or 4 or 5 shots right after Mendoza to steal the momentum and be back in Bohachuk's favor, man. I was also really impressed with how he was operating from in close range. Excellent close range fighter. And as the rounds went on, he got more comfortable and more comfortable, man. He started out with the jab. Then once he closed the gap and he wasn't close, man, everything was just a power punch, or it was using a feint to set up a power punch. And every punch kind of just looked consistent, but it was so constant. It was hard for Mendoza to really deal with that and to keep up with it. Like Mendoza's face was starting to look very bad, man. It was, he took a lot of punishment in that fight. But at the same time, Mendoza was having some success, man, with the uppercut as well too, and those counter punches. And he landed some excellent body shots as well too. Good straight hands. I felt like Mendoza held his own, and it's just on the night, he went up against a guy whose conditioning was just better, who was not afraid of what was coming back his way. And he just let his hands go, man. He took that risk all night and he just outworked Brian Mendoza for 12 rounds, man. Mendoza just couldn't create the separation he needed to really sit and load up on his shots. He was in constant pressure, constant duress every single round. And some of the shots that Bohachuk took and Mendoza landed, man, it kind of goes to show that the shot that Bohachuk got hit with when he lost his fight was just a perfectly timely play shots, right? Because Mendoza landed some big shots on Bohachuk, and Bohachuk seemed to handle those shots well. So I think he's got a pretty solid chin. I was very impressed with his last fight, as I said, man. I think he showed us a lot in that fight. And correct me if I'm wrong, but he threw something like over 800 punches and he landed 48% of his power punches. Like, those stats are crazy. Like, those are really crazy stats, because with stats like that, you would expect that you would win the fight. And he did win the fight. And he beat a very solid opponent, man. So in Vergil Ortiz's most recent fight, there's really not a whole lot to say, especially his past 2 fights. He stopped the guys. He stopped his opponents in under 2 rounds. He stopped Dullarme with a body shot that didn't really seem like he sat too much on that and really cocked it back. It was just one of those shots where it was a reactive shot, right? Where he just came, ducked, boom, to the body, and it was over with. So it really didn't seem like a hard shot, but I didn't take the shot. So what do I know? I'm saying clearly Dullarme felt it, so it must have been a heavy shot. And Dullarme did not get up from that shot, man. So I'm looking forward to this fight, man. Like many of you, I think it's going to be a lot of action, that war type of fight, man. I think it's going to be like that. So who wins? Before I give my pick on this fight, I have something real quick to share. You know, I'm always looking to bring more light, more value, more opportunities for the community. I've been working on a few different things in recent weeks to not just grow the channel, but as I said, to continue to provide as much value as I can to each of you in our community. With that being said, I got some exciting news to share. I'm happy to announce my partnership with BetStamp and Sign Up Expert. It's a great opportunity for you to join some of the best sports books to get the best odds and new user offer. All you have to do is head over to my dedicated page at signupexpert.com/the breakdown to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with its own unique offerings. So if you want to place a bet this weekend and on this fight and beyond, check out the link to find the best options for you in your region. Every sign up does support the channel, and it helps the channel grow and to expand and to create more opportunities, not just for me, but for our community. You know, I'm always looking out for you guys as best as I can. You can easily find the link in the description below this videos and videos moving forward. So get down there and check it out and find the best option for you. Now, let's get back to the video. I think this could be a close fight, man. Ortiz has never been past 9 rounds. His last 2 fights ended in the first round. I think there are some questions about Ortiz that we're going to find out. I think this could possibly be his toughest test yet. On paper, it should be. You know, I think he needs to come out and be consistent with his jab as he was in his previous couple fights. He's got to stay disciplined and not be too reactive when he gets hit and he overcommits and gets himself countered and clipped with a shot that he could avoid or evade. I think Bohachuk is a tough fighter. He fights very well from in close. He's a rhythmic fighter. Once he gets going, man, he is not going to stop. He's a straightforward fighter. He's not going to box on the outside for too long. He's going to be there to get hit. And he has a lot of skills and advantages that can work in his favor. He took some really hard punishing body shots from Brian Mendoza. If Ortiz hits him to the body like that, I don't think he can take much of that because I think Ortiz is a much bigger puncher than Brian Mendoza. So this fight could go either way depending on how the game plan is for both men. But these men are going to be right there in front of each other, man. It's going to make for a definitely interesting and exciting fight. I don't know one Vergil Ortiz fight that has been boring. So I'm expecting fireworks from both men, man. And you know, it makes I don't know what the odds are completely, but it makes sense that either of these guys win by stoppage. I mean, you have a guy in Vergil Ortiz who's won every fight by stoppage, and you have a guy in Serhii Bohachuk who's won every fight except one by way of stoppage. You know, and if Brian Mendoza wasn't as tough as they come, he would have got stopped that fight. It's going to be interesting, man, but I'm going with Vergil Ortiz. Ortiz got that mentality about him that I like, man. And he's got that switch about him. Bohachuk got that switch too. You know, I do have my questions about Vergil Ortiz and his conditioning and his fitness. But man, you know, Vergil Ortiz, I think those body shots is going to be what really separates him in this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if this fight goes the distance. Sometimes fights like this does go the distance. But you know, I'm going Vergil Ortiz by way of stoppage. I'm expecting a heavy work rate from both men, man. I think this fight you can't rule out distance by no means, but I wouldn't be surprised seeing a couple of knockdowns in this fight from either man. But man, I'm going Vergil Ortiz to win this fight by stoppage in an all-out war between both men. So those are my thoughts. I would love to hear from you. How do you have this one going? Who do you think wins? Let me know in the comment section below. I don't always get to do all the suggested videos. You guys suggest in the comment section below. But if you become a member, those suggested videos rise to the top, and I will do my best to get those done for you that week. Or if you'd like to become a member just to show love and to support the channel, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. So with all that being said, if you've been watching the video this long, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.